This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Introduction. Ethical subjectivism believes that various sentences do express certain opinions. These views, shaped by different human behavior, form judgments and moral ways of thinking. Ethical subjectivism is the view that these judgments are limited to perceptions. This means that they are subjective. In essence, there aren't any allowed or prohibited ways of thinking or expressing oneself under subjectivism. There is only valid or false and its evaluation. Certain cultural or individual feelings do vary and are the main feeder for moral views of that particular time. An example is a study carried out on the view of employers toward men who wear dreadlocks to work. In some companies and various geographical locations, dreadlocks were seen as not decent in the early 90s. However, the same study in the same companies and locations 10 years later reveals the perception of dreadlocks as indecent has gradually decreased. The prominent expression is that there is a need for tolerance since what society views as truth at a particular time is shaped by feelings subject to change. Simple subjectivism and emotivism. The simple form of subjectivism highlights the heavy reliance on judging a certain object on a person's emotional attitude. For example, is like, Martin loves dogs, but Mary doesn't. Under these views, there is absolutely nothing left for argument's sake. The rule here is for one to respect the perceptions of another person and vice versa. Emotivism is the view that statements can be used to alter and control the attitude of other human beings. It conveys that statements are simply not just that but an expression of attitude. For example, I think global warming is natural, but my friend thinks it results from environmental degradation. The difference between the two views is a belief thing. Emotivism doesn't believe in right or wrong, it looks at an argument based on the driving emotion behind the statement. Emotivism improvement on simple subjectivism. Emotivism does remove the total disregard as wrong or labeling completely right as a simple subjectivism statement. It broadens the use of statements from a personal expression to using them to influence others. It does highlight the difference between expressing and reporting an attitude. Say, for example, I love water is a form of reported attitude, while water is life is an expressed attitude. Emotivism removes the implications of statements made by simple subjectivism, which may be used to judge a speaker based on the facts they convey. It instead declares the statement as non-factual, bearing no personal representation of the speaker, but portrays them as a tool used by the speaker to achieve a particular goal, mainly influence. It allows debate on certain statements based on the underlying attitude. An example of a statement of simple subjectivism, abortion is evil. The reader will constrict this view to the writer's dislike of abortion. However, emotivism further gives the statement broad application to sound like a piece of advice that abortion isn't a proper thing to engage in. The latter affects more people and can influence them than a simple subjective statement. The challenge of simple subjectivism and emotivism. Both believe that one has to exercise tolerance when dealing with another person's views since they are not subject to reproach. While under simple subjectivism, one's opinions are considered to be according to his opinion, emotivism has no place for right or wrong. In both of them, morality is determined by a person's feelings. The challenge is that they cannot account for the use of moral reason as a driver behind a dynamic statement. Another challenge is that statements from both views are hard to prove. We may argue about particular ethical views, but it's hard to substantiate our arguments based on some sort of proof. When influencing people, the target crowd may just reject or not appreciate your argument. This doesn't mean that the statement is incorrect, but instead, you may have been facing a skeptical crowd. Conclusion. Feelings are the inconsistent and most unstable of things in human life. At a certain time in society, the general feeling regarding something may be harmful, leading to judging it as immoral. After some time, the same society's feelings change, and what they consider immoral becomes the accepted norm. Ethical subjectivism fails to look at the moral reason behind some statements. Inasmuch as ethics cannot be divorced from emotions, we need to be guided more by reason to capture the true sense of moral thinking. This essay on ethical subjectivism and emotivism in society was written and submitted by a student just like you. The Ivy Panda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one, on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for, free of charge.